Alright. Quick, everyone. I want you to think of anything else but a pink elephant. Do not think of a pink elephant wearing a yellow tutu. I bet all of you are trying really hard not to think of something that looks like this. But not many of you are succeeding. And this is similar to experiences that you've had in this classroom. Think back on the time when you had to prepare for a speech in front of this class. You tell yourself not to be nervous. Did it help? It probably didn't. In fact, it probably made you more nervous. This is due to the theory of ironic processes, which I will introduce to you during my presentation. With a better understanding of this theory, you can control your mind and do better in this class. In the next 5 minutes or so, I will tell you more about this pink elephant and why you cannot get it out of your head. I will also share with you some ways that have been proven to show positive results when it comes to thought suppression. Hopefully, I will be able to teach you how you can start to train your brain. What's with this pink elephant that you cannot get out of your head? To understand this, you need to have some concept of, or some understanding of how our brain works. The brain is the most complex organ in our body, with billions and billions of nerve cells. But for the purposes of this speech, I'm going to only talk about two parts of our brain: the conscious and the subconscious. Russian physicist Andrei Merlin defines consciousness in his 1992 paper for the National Academy of Sciences. To paraphrase his definition, consciousness is a process of realization in which we use our complex nervous system to continuously accumulate and evaluate internal and external information to build our knowledge and pilot our intentions, decisions, and actions in accordance to reality. To put this simply, the conscious mind can be explained as the part of our mind that we use to make decisions. For example, if I ask you to choose between coffee or tea, your conscious mind is the one that makes up this choice. It is also the part of your brain that is making sense of what I'm currently saying. In the same paper, Andrei Merlin explains the definition of subconscious as the automatic processes acquired through experience, such as learning, repetition, routinization, rehearsal, and training. In the words of author Michael Carroll, the subconscious part of your brain is what helps you live and breathe. It is a background process and can be explained as a kind of autopilot. It keeps your heart beating and it helps your body breathe, even when you're not thinking about it. If you're all suddenly now aware of your breathing and your heart beating, it is because I have brought attention to it through your conscious mind. How does this information help explain the pink elephant in the room? In 1987, Dr. Daniel Wagner, psychology professor at Harvard University, published a paper about the ironic process theory. He and his partners conducted experiments where participants were told to verbalize their thoughts while trying not to think of a white bear. He recorded the results and drew conclusions about how the human brain works in situations like these. From the results of his study, Dr. Wagner concluded that when we try to suppress unwanted thoughts by simply trying not to think about them, they tend to surface more frequently. Let me explain how this works. When told not to think about a white bear, or in this instance, a pink elephant, this is what's happening in your brain. The conscious part of your brain, the green part, is constantly telling itself not to think about a pink elephant. While it is successfully doing so, your subconscious mind is checking in to make sure that you are not thinking about a pink elephant. The subconscious process inevitably results in you thinking about the pink elephant. Now, how do we stop this from happening? In another paper, Dr. Wagner suggests some ways in which we can use to stop thinking unwanted thoughts. I'm going to tell you about the two methods that I use and I think are most effective for me. The first method is called focus distraction. As the name suggests, this method involves you thinking of something else, in other words, distracting yourself. For example, if you're speaking in this class, maybe focus instead on how green the grass is outside or what you're going to have for lunch later. The second method is acceptance. Accept that this is happening and work towards improving your situation. It is a difficult thing to say, to tell yourself that being nervous is okay, but it's a hurdle that we all need to cross before we can take positive steps to improve. Only once have you accepted your fate can you take steps to make changes to it. In conclusion of everything that I've said today, the most important thing you can take away is how to trick your brain. I talked about the conscious and subconscious brain, introduced you to Dr. Daniel Wagner and his research, and taught you 2 ways that you can use in your everyday life: focus distraction and acceptance. To end off, I would like to test you all again. Now, I give you 5 seconds to prepare your mind. Ready? Everyone, do not think of a green pig balancing on a blue ball. How many of you succeeded this time? For those that did not, don't worry. Let me reassure you that controlling your brain is an extremely hard task. It takes lots of practice, but eventually, I believe, with persistence, you will be able to do it too. Thank you.